Hi, my name's Anna Marie, and I'm here today with Kieren Ong, and we're going to talk about the certification. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Anna Maria. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I want to thank you for meeting me. We have quite a time discrepancy. We were just talking about it. It is 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the United States, and it is,
It's 11:30, and I'm in Adelaide, South Australia.
oh my gosh. So, my evening to your good morning, or actually more
That's
like good
right.
afternoon.
That's right. Yeah, it's almost lunchtime.
Hey, so I understood that you took part in the Top Music Certification Program.
Correct, correct. So that happened sometime last year. It was a 12-week program, and we finished. I think it was in early December. No, yeah, it was early December when we finished up our portfolio and all that.
Okay, so how did you hear about it?
To be honest, I can't really remember exactly the sequence of events. I'm a top music member, so I must have seen it in my email. But I never really thought about doing it. Never really thought much about it when I first saw it. To be honest, but then over the course of a few weeks, I kept seeing it. I guess I kept seeing it popping up, and then I only started thinking about doing it because there were some things in my studio that I wasn't 100% happy with, and I'm sure that that's the case for most music teacher out there. And I just wanted to see, what I don't know. So I thought I signed up to that.
So, what were some of the things that you were unhappy with in your studio?
Oh, the list can go on forever, to be honest. But I think the main two things was actually let's make it three. So on the teaching side, I felt like I needed more teaching ideas, more creative ideas to make music lesson more enjoyable. I felt
Okay,
like my teaching style was already enjoyable to a certain extent, but I felt like my approach can be the best approach out there. There must be other ways and other methods that you can incorporate to anyone's teaching to make it just a tiny bit better.
okay,
So that was one thing. So that's on the teaching side of things. The other two is more on the business side of things, where it comes to lesson scheduling. I felt like things like the cancellation policies. I wasn't sure whether my cancellation policy uh, was the best one out there, and I've read things about the no cancellation policy on Top Music Pro, but I didn't really know how to implement that. So that was one thing, one of my biggest thing that I wasn't happy about. And then the third thing was kind of related to the cancellation policy, which is how do we charge a fee to ensure that teachers can have a more stable income. And again, I also read something on Top Music Pro about fixed monthly billing, which I was really interested in, but didn't really have any idea on how to properly implement it to the studio. So I think those were the three main things that I
okay.
wasn't happy with. And I wasn't sure whether the certification was going to help, but regardless, I knew I was going to get something from the certification, whether it's going to be those three things that I wanted to fix or whether it's something else. Yeah.
Okay. So, when you started the certification process, how did it begin? Like, do you remember what some of the first meetings were like?
Oh, it's quite a while ago now.
I know.
So so it was like a weekly a meeting through Zoom, like what we're doing right now. And for me, it was on a Tuesday morning, so right at the start of my day. And it was really different to a lot of the, I guess, courses or webinar I've done in the past, where you would just sit there and you watch a video or listen to someone present. I think one thing that I really liked about the certification meeting was that it felt like you're kind of in a classroom or kind of a tutorial where
Okay.
everyone's kind of like bouncing ideas off each other, and that was really new to me in terms of piano teachers training. I think I was a little bit conservative at the start in terms of sharing ideas because I wasn't used to that kind of that environment, but it was definitely really really enjoyable.
So, you liked the interactive approach.
I did. I think I didn't really know what to expect at the start. So at the start, I was probably one of the quieter ones who didn't really share much ideas. But as the week progressed and as you get to know your peers within the cohort, uh, it became better and better over time. I started bouncing ideas off of people. You could get in touch with people privately, and I still do keep in touch with a couple of the cohort members and
Oh,
share
nice.
ideas with them. Yeah.
Okay. So how many people were in the first group?
Oh,
About.
I don't know that. Yeah, I reckon it was about 10 to 15
Okay.
people at the
So
start.
it
Yeah,
was a good size. Like you had a lot of people to
it
bounce
was a good
ideas
start.
off of, and
Correct. And we broke into so once in a while, Tim and Beck were the hosts of those meetings. They would break us into breakout sessions within Zoom, where we would just be with, maybe two or three other teachers, and we would discuss in smaller groups about a particular activity or topic.
okay. I think it's interesting that you've maintained some of the contacts moving forward. Like that's a really great thing to have because we all know this can be a lonely profession, and it's it's good to have people to bounce things off of. What was the time commitment like?
So in terms of the certification, uh, I think for me, I was probably a bit lazy, to be honest. I'm sure other people put in a lot more time in it than I did. But look, the weekly meeting is just an hour each week, so that itself is not a lot. It was really doable.
Okay.
And then you had the weekly homework, which I guess were kind of optional, but it's very beneficial if you do them because it will kind of prepare you for the following week's discussion. And I probably spend also about an hour or two per week. I think 2 hour maximum if I have the time. But I try to spend about an hour each week in addition to the weekly meeting to do my weekly homework. And then in terms of the portfolio was a bit more time consuming. I kind of cramped it all at the end. I'm not sure whether that's the best way to do it. So that one there was I think it was through a school holiday period. So that was good timing. I had a lot more free time then. So I can't remember how many hours I spent on it, but look, I was able to knock out the portfolio in about roughly 2 weeks.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding the word. What was the term? The pop?
The portfolio.
Oh, the
The portfolio.
portfolio. Portfolio. Okay.
Yeah. So
Um,
there was a portfolio that we had to prepare, which is pretty much kind of like it's a bit like, I'm sure most people have been to uni or done school assignments. It's pretty much just a write-up of, it's not, I wouldn't really call it an essay, but it's kind of like a report that, or some kind of research project that you do in your own time, and you would write it out in a document. I think some people did it in separate documents, but I did it in one big document, which you would submit to team and back for review,
uh-huh.
and then they would give you feedback.
Got it. So okay, so this is this is more than just like signing up for an online course, right? So
Yes.
you've got the cohort groups going on. Then occasionally you're talking to people outside of the groups. On top of that, there's homework, and then in addition to all that, there's the portfolio, right? So when I break it out like that, it sounds kind of daunting, but it sounds like to me like that it was well paced. Like they kind of held your hand through it, except for the portfolio, which you could knock out if you really had to.
Yeah, so when I first started the cohort, I was also a bit nervous about the idea of, will I have enough time to commit to all these little things, the
Uh-huh.
weekly meeting, the weekly homework, and then the portfolio was probably the one which I was most nervous about.
Right.
But I felt like, yeah, like what you said, I thought it was actually really really well paced. I Even though I had doubt at the start, I felt like Beck and Tim really guide you through the process really well, and you had plenty of time to do everything that you need to do. In fact, after the 12 weeks of meeting, I can't remember exactly how much time we were given. I think it was about a month to actually prepare the portfolio, which is the main assignment that you had to submit. So
Right.
that was plenty of time to do everything that you need.
And was there any assignment that you found daunting? Like, oh, I don't feel like I have the skills to do this or the knowledge to do this, or was everything achievable, like not so scary, I should say?
Look, everything was achievable. That being said, there were some tasks that were more daunting than others, but back the whole process will kind of guide you through the whole thing.
Uh,
So I think the part which there was actually two things that I found quite daunting. One of them was one part of the portfolio you had to kind of record a few of your lessons to submit for review, and I think not having done a lot of that before
uh,
felt a bit strange to me because usually it would just be you and the student doing your lesson, and that felt really natural. But then once you set up the camera next to you, uh, it just feels like someone is there watching you and observing your teaching. So that was a bit new, and it was something that I had to get over, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Once I set
okay.
the camera on the side, I just kind of forgot about it after 5 minutes. Um, Rewatching the videos was a bit strange because it's not very often that you look at yourself teach, and the
Right.
things that you notice you say in lessons, you do kind of it does kind of feel a bit cringy at
Yeah.
times, but uh, again, I think you learn a lot of things from watching those videos. And then the other thing that I felt was quite challenging was writing a curriculum for the studio or for your students. So a lot of the time, I do short-term plannings for my students, where
Uh-huh.
before a student comes in, I will plan what we're going to do in the lesson. But I never really thought about. Oh, I guess I have, but I never really formally written it down. I never really thought about the long-term outcome that I want a student to achieve. And part of the portfolio, we had to write a curriculum, which is a long-term plan for a student. And that was something I've never actually sat down and think about writing down properly. So I thought that was a challenge for me.
Uh-huh.
It was very eye-opening, and I'm really glad that they made us do that because if it wasn't for the cohort, I don't think I would have ever sat down properly and written down a long-term plan for students.
That sounds like it was a really great opportunity because I don't think many teachers think about long-term plans. Like I know that when I start, I need to have my kids recital ready by like March or April, depending on what's going on holiday wise for the calendar. But I don't think I've ever like laid it out step by step. Now that you've done that, do you feel like it's enhanced your teaching or it's more beneficial, or are you going back to your old ways?
Okay, so I can't say that I am 100% into the long-term curriculum planning just yet. I mean, it's not that I don't like doing it. It's just something that's a bit more time-consuming. So I'm just taking it slow with that. I can't remember who mentioned. Maybe it was Tim or Beth, or maybe it was from one of the course that I watched on Top Music Pro, and it said to perhaps implement it on one student first, see how things go, and then slowly implement the same curriculum on other students, and you can make adjustments to the curriculum depending on each individual. So
Okay.
what I have done so far is I've written up a 10, oh, not 10 years, sorry, I think it was 5 years plan for one of my students. I've written it out in more details for the first 1 or 2 years. And then, for the years 3, 4, 5 was kind of like a really rough draft. I'll probably revisit it when the time comes. But having written all those down kind of gave me a really good idea of what I want to do with the students. And through that, I have kind of adjusted my teaching approach a bit to kind of match what I want the student to achieve. So I did change my teaching style after writing out the curriculum. Have I done it with other students? I have to admit, not yet, but I do plan to do it. I do plan to do it.
No, I mean, change takes a while, right? And so you're implementing it slowly and you're going to figure it out. And I think that's valid.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your tuition, so to speak, like switching from that lesson model to the monthly billing. And then after that, maybe about the cancellation policy. How did the certification influence those other two things that you talked about?
Yeah. So look, I've thought about doing the monthly billing for a really long time now. I don't think it's a new concept because it's been on. I think the course or the article has been on Top Music Pro for quite a while now, but I've never really got around to doing it. But after doing the certification, I decided, look, this is the time to do it. It's now or never, and I went for it. So I didn't convert my entire studio to do fixed monthly billing. Instead, what I did was I left my existing students uh, to continue doing the old policy, and then I'll experiment the new monthly billing with new students. So now I have two policies, which can get a bit confusing. I hope to merge to kind of shift the old student across to the new policy in the coming years. But no, so I've implemented that new fixed monthly billing for my new students, and along with that, I also typed the no cancellation policy to that fixed monthly billing as well. And it's still not perfect yet. There are still some things that I feel like I can change, but it definitely made a significant change in a positive way. I felt like parents don't ask for makeup lessons as often anymore. And when they do, you can just explain that, well, it's all written out in the policy, right? That each time slot is allocated for specific students. So you can't really do makeup policy, do a makeup lesson. And parents were okay with that, which I guess I was a little bit surprised at first because I'm so used to parents asking for makeup lessons. And I guess I've always been a bit hesitant on turning down that request. But for the first time, I've told parents, look, no makeup lessons, it's a fixed fee, regardless of how many lessons you do, and people still sign up to lessons. So I think it definitely simplifies the billing process a lot, and the fact that you don't have to do makeup lessons is a lot more economical, and also there's a lot less hassle when it comes to rescheduling.
Right. Now that sounds like easy breezy, right? So now, like you said, now the next thing will be to like start moving everybody over.
Yeah. So that part I'm still very nervous about because I'm not sure how my existing student will react to that. But look, I think the fact that fixed monthly billing has proven that it's working has proven that it works in my studio. I think I have that bit more confidence to actually take that next step forward to try and push existing student over. But it will probably take some explanation to do and whatnot. But I think if done correctly, it would definitely be possible.
Okay. How many students do you have?
I can't remember the exact figure now, but it will be about between 100 to 150. So I run a teacher studio. I don't teach all the students myself. I have another 4 teachers working with me. So we share that student amongst each other.
Got it. When you said that, I was like, what? You teach hundreds
No,
of
no, I don't think I can teach. No, I don't think I can teach all of them. I don't have enough. Wouldn't have the enough hours in the day for that.
I'd be like, when do you sleep? So
Never. just 24/7.
okay. So what do you think are the top 3 things that you got from the certification? Okay, that one's first. What are the top 3 things?
Okay. So I think the top 2 is I kind of already mentioned. One of them is the fixed monthly billing. And the second one was the no makeup policy. And the third one, which I thought played a really big difference to my teaching, it's more on the teaching side, is the creative approach to teaching. So previously, I took on a more traditional approach of teaching where you would sit with the student and you teach them how to read notes and then they will play what's on the page and whatnot. But then since we did the cohort, I have implemented a lot more improvisation and composition into my teaching, which I felt like a lot of students and a lot of parents enjoyed because it was something different. So I did a bit of that in the past, but it was really the certification that pushed me to do that that even more. And I thought that was really life changing.
So I would guess that is an offshoot of the Notebook Beginners, right?
Yes.
The book that Tim
Actually,
wrote.
speaking of the notebook beginner, yeah, correct. So after the certification course, I was actually motivated to watch the actual notebook beginner course on
Uh-huh.
Top Music Pro. Um, I knew it existed, but I never actually looked into it. But after doing the certification course, I felt motivated to make my teaching more unique, more creative. So I went ahead and did the notebook beginner course online, and I also bought Tim's notebook beginner book.
Book.
Highly recommend that for anyone out there who hasn't read it yet. Um, and I have tried implementing some of those ideas from those courses in the book in my teaching, and it is really refreshing. I have to say it's really refreshing to do something different. And also for the parents and students as well, they come in expecting lessons to be, you sit down on the piano, you open a book, and then you play what's on the page. But once parents and students see that there's a lot more to music than just reading and playing, you can improvise even if you have no experience before. I think just doing all these activities from the notebook beginner course is really good for students, for teachers, for the parents. It's something that's really unique, really different, and really fun.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, like in addition to everything, so the course helped you cement a plan. It helped you implement some things that you've been wanting to implement, but it also gave you kind of like a niche in the market. You've really been able to differentiate yourself using some of the techniques and tools that you learned in the course, and it propelled you to go even further.
Correct. Yeah, so I think that definitely helps. I do feel like it does help me differentiate myself from what other teachers are doing. I'm sure other teachers are doing creative activities with their students as well, but I think it's safe to say that a majority of teachers still uses the traditional approach of teaching, and they're not to blame. I think most of us grew up learning piano to the traditional approach, so that's kind of like the method that we kind of uh, fall back on when we
Right.
start teaching a student, especially if we've never had any kind of teaching experience or studies before. So like for me, I never went to uni to study music or music pedagogy or whatnot. In fact, I think this certification is probably the most formal form of music teacher education that I've ever done. So yeah, no, the certification course definitely helped open my eyes to all this new and unique approach of teaching, which I think is really refreshing. And yeah, it definitely helped me differentiate myself from other teachers out there.
All right. So, are you happy with your investment?
Very happy with it. Very happy with it.
Okay.
I know. When I first saw the fees of it, it does look a bit pricey. But then if you compare it to some of the like an uni degree or other certification courses out there that that would take 1 or 2 years to complete. The fee for the certification for this certification course is actually quite affordable once you compare it with other courses that are out there. And rather than thinking of it as a cost, I like to think of it as an investment. It's money that you can make back. Once you improve your teaching method, more students will come to you. You can make that money back very easily.
I like that. I mean, I like that you're thinking about it like an investment because you're right. It has impacted your teaching, and you'll be able to recoup that with all the new students you have when word gets out about your fabulous new approach.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking some time from your day to talk to me and tell me about the certification program. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing how you've gone forward in the future.
Thank you for having me here.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.